In this video, I'll be looking at Kingdomino Origins. Hello AOS fans, Robin here, and today I'm a complete departure for us, not miniatures gaming, not role-playing games, anything like that. It's Kingdomino Origins, which is a family game, and it has been the family game of our Christmas. It's absolutely fantastic game, so I want to tell you all about it and why I think you should pick it up, pick a copy up, because it's absolutely great. If you haven't played Kingdomino, this video will sort of assume you've played Kingdomino. I'll talk about it briefly, but as a Kingdomino here, it was the winner of the Spiele Des Jahres in 2017. Thoroughly deserved winner, I think. It's one of the best games we've played in the last 5 years, and we keep coming back to it, and it can be played. The beauty of it is it can be played at sort of several levels, so young children can pick it up reasonably easily. Older children don't mind playing it, and grown-ups can have fun with it too. And it's the same with Kingdomino Origins. Kingdomino Origins just turns things up a little bit, changes the theme slightly. We're going to go prehistoric on this one. So it's a really fun game. It takes about 25 minutes to play. It's for 2 to 4 players and around ages 8 and upwards. I would say you can play a little bit lower. I've found with Kingdomino anyway, you can play a little bit lower. This is slightly more complicated, but not a lot. So you may, but 8+ is about right, I think. So let's have a little look about what you do when you play Kingdomino Origins. We'll start by looking at what you do when you play Kingdomino, just to help people who haven't played, just to put a little bit in context. So the Kingdomino games, and there's several of them. There's Queen Domino, and there's a Dragon one for even younger children. So there are definitely other options out there if you want to play Kingdomino. In the Kingdomino games, you're basically picking tiles, and they are dominoes, so they've got, like standard dominoes. But instead of having, so they've got 2 squares on them to form the rectangle, instead of having numbers on, they have pictures. So in Kingdomino, there's a drafting mechanism for picking these tiles, which I shall explain in a second. But in the original Kingdomino, at the end of the game, you ended up with a board that looked something like this. So each player had one of these set out in front of them, and the idea was, in the basic game, you would end up with a 5x5 grid of squares. You start off with 1 square in the middle and with your castle on. You don't actually have to play it with the castle, but you have the castle on it. And it doesn't have to go in the middle. You basically build the grid around the castle as long as you end up with a 5x5 square. And again, it didn't actually matter if you didn't end up with a 5x5 square. And generally, the best way to go was to get a square. There were bonus points for having a square like this with the castle in the middle, and a bonus points if you just had a square with the castle anywhere. And the idea was you would get contiguous pieces of land, so land that was the same type altogether. And there were in the original game, and in fact Kingdomino Origins, there were, I think, 5 types of land. So that you had the kind of wheat, and you had sea and forest, and then these ones were like gold mines, and then there was some grassland too, and some swamp, which I haven't got very much represented on here. And then you were trying to get large contiguous areas of land, and the larger the better, as long as they had crowns on. So you can see a crown here, and for every crown in the area, you would get that crown times the number of squares. So here I've got 5 rows of yellow and 3 crowns, so that would be 5 times 3. So that would score 15 points. And the bigger the land, obviously, therefore the better, and the more crowns, the better. These ones over here, these yellow ones over here, they didn't score anything because they're not contiguous with these pieces. And here I've got 5 blue with 2 crowns in it, so that would be 10. 5 forest, that would be another 10 with 2, because they've got 2 crowns. And there's this bit, I'll just move this castle out of the way. These ones, the gold mines, were the big money pieces. And there's 3 of those, but they have got a colossal 7 crowns on them, so that would have been 21 points had you been fortunate enough to score, get those together. I did find with younger children that arguments could break out over who got the gold mines, which was a bit frustrating, and the Origins has a similar thing, so that's just something to bear in mind if you've got children who are not so much worried about winning, but more about liking the shiny looking ones. So that was Kingdomino in a nutshell. So there's a tile drafting mechanism, and then you basically built up your territory as you went. And Kingdomino Origins works in almost exactly the same way, but let's have a little look about how it differs. So this is your Kingdomino Origins box. And in here you've got some rules, and you did actually get like a scoring pad, which you didn't get any other game, and some little wooden tokens, which I shall come on to in a minute. There's 3 ways to play this game. I'm just going to outline the first basic way in this video, and then I'll do a separate video for the other 2 ways to play for those who want to take their game on a little bit further. So you've got various bits and pieces in here, a lot of which aren't used, but in the basic game. But the things you do need these little fire tokens, and you do need all the dominoes. So what I didn't outline is when you have a domino like this, there you go, that's got some sort of rocks and some grassland. What I didn't outline is on the back they have numbers. So when you set up a game of Kingdomino, you each have your square, and you would have your hut on it. So it's very similar. That's the square on the castle, and we will be trying to build a 5x5 grid around the central square. And the rules of placing dominoes are fairly simple. You basically, it has to be touching another domino. You can't just place it off down here. It has to be touching another domino in one way, shape or form. But as long as it's doing that, you pretty much can do what you like within the 5x5 square. So I could, if I wanted to, I don't know why I would want to do that, but I could put this one here, and then I'm still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I'm not allowed to do is I'm not allowed to pass another one over here, because then I'm up to 7. So if you do get to the point where you can't place the dominoes towards the end of the game, because you've to try and maximise the numbers you've got together, you've sort of gone for you've gone for territory together rather than the actual shape. Then if you get towards the end of the game, and supposing there was a space you had to put one domino in it, you basically can't place that domino. So if you don't end up with a two square rectangle. If you don't end up with a 2 square rectangle to put it in, you just can't put it down. So you lose points that way because you've got 2 less squares. But how do you actually pick your dominoes? That's a really key point. So to start off with, you randomly choose the youngest person to go first. It doesn't really matter who it is, but how you do it. You just pick a first player. You start by laying out the dominoes like that, and you lay them out in numerical order with the highest at one end and the lowest at the other. And then you turn them over. And generally speaking, the higher the number of the domino, the better the domino is in the game. The more points it's likely to score you in the game. There are stats in the rule book for how often these things occur, the frequency with which these occur, and in the Kingdomino Origins version, you don't have crowns, but you do have flames, and this is all about kind of using the theme of fire with cavemen, and so flames enable you to, I guess, make more of your territory, make it more comfortable, keep you warm, cook your food, that kind of thing. So you're looking for flames. It's flames what generate the score in Kingdomino Origins. So you tend to get the flames on the ones that are higher, and there tends to be there's some with 2 flames, and just generally better scoring ones on the higher dominoes. So bearing in mind this is low to high, you think, well, okay, it's my turn first. I was randomly picked to go first, so I'm going to have that one because that's the best one. I'll come on to what the volcano does in a minute. So, and then everybody else will pick, and let's just say, okay, well, they're like that. We'll pick like that. Okay, and then now it'll be time for everybody to take their domino. But before they do that, you have to lay out the next round of dominoes. So we'll lay out the next round of dominoes, and we have a number 9, a number 4, a number 37, and a number 13. So sort of fairly low ones, and then a couple of high ones. There's 48 dominoes in the game. So 48 obviously is nominally the best domino. It all depends on the circumstances you're in. Then you turn those over. Now, how do you determine who gets to pick first? Well, it's the person who had the worst domino last time. They get to pick first. And they might decide they want to go first this time. They may decide there's nothing particularly here that they want, and they want to go first next time. On the off chance of getting something good, they can go there. Or they can go, actually, I'm going to collect Rock and Flint this turn, so I'm going to go down there. And then they would take their domino, and they would place it next to their castle as part of building their square. And then the next person does the same, so he might say, actually, I really want to make sure I go first next time, so he'd take that one, and then he'd take this one away, and then this person would go, right, well, I want that one, and this person would go, well, I want that one. And then, so that is the end of the first round. Everybody's chosen the next one, and then you put out 4 more dominoes. These are all kept randomly in the box or in a pile or whatever, however you want to do it. And then in this case, we've got big ones. This one, we've got 47, we've got 45, 26, and 8. And then the same thing happens again, so they get turned over, and on it goes. So somebody want to pick. Now this person really wants this domino because he's got 2 there with a flame, and then that's got 2 flames on it. So that would be, you know, that would massively multiply his points. But he really wants that one. But unfortunately, he's going to have to wait and see whether anybody else is going to take it. He's going to have to wait. So maybe this guy goes, well, actually, I don't want that person to take the get the double flame on his two squares. So I'm going to take that one from him. Or he may think to himself, well, I've got a forest and actually I need a flame, so I'm going to have the forest for that one. And that's the kind of decisions you have to make. Generally, I think you make the decision to pick what's optimum for you, but occasionally you have to think, right, okay, I want to make sure that my opponent doesn't get that domino. And it's just really great. Off the back of what you've picked, all the time, you're building up your domino, your territory, which again, you're trying to get in a 5x5 grid. Now, this game differs from the main game is that there are no mines. So there's none of those mines are pretty good. They can be a bit of a trap. There aren't very many mine squares, but even though there's lots of crowns on them to score, there aren't very many mine squares. So it's quite hard to get a big score. In this game, they don't exist. There's no equivalent of the mines. What there are instead are volcanoes. And there are 3 types of volcano. I've got 2 of them here. There are dominoes with 1 volcano on, and there are dominoes with 2 volcanoes on. Well, what do? Well, they enable you to assign fire tokens to other cards. It's basically ways of generating score on other tiles or other squares. So let's imagine you placed your grid like this. I'm not sure this is how it would evolve, but let's imagine that you did do it like that. This has got a volcano on it, and that means you can play 1 fire token because it's got a single volcano, so it's a 1 fire token. Or I should say a single fire token because there are single, double, and triple fire tokens. There's only 1 triple volcano in the whole game. Car 48 has the 1 triple volcano on it. So you get this, it's 1 volcano now. There's the thing is on the back of this token it says you've got 3 arrows. And that's because you can place this up to 3 squares away from the volcano. The ones with 2 fires, you can place 2 squares away. And the high scoring 3 fire one, you can only place 1 square away. And there's one more thing to remember, which is that you cannot place fire on fire. So you couldn't just get this 3 fire one and go, oh, I'm going to put that there on there and get 4 fire for that. You can't do that. It could only go, in this current situation, it could only go here if it was the 3 volcano. So that would be a bad place to put the 3 volcano. But the 1 square ones go up to 3 squares away. So you can go 1, and you can move diagonally. So you can go 1, 2, and put the volcano, put the fire on there. So suddenly you've now got 1, 2, 3, 4 fires on there. And if you could get a double volcano into that position, you can actually move that 2. So and you can go diagonally. So you can go 1, 2 to there, or even 1, 2 to there. So you could put that on there like that. And so that builds up how you can score. It gives it slightly different variation, something else to think about how you're going to score, whether you want a volcano, whether your opponent really wants a volcano to really multiply their score. And it just changes up the game a little bit. Instead of relying on those gold mines in Kingdomino, you've got a little bit of flexibility, which just adds just a small amount of complexity, but nothing too challenging. My 9-year-old perfectly cope with it. In fact, he can wipe the floor with me at this game. Much better at pattern recognition than I am. So that pretty much is it for the basic game. And you just at the end you just total up the numbers of air, the amount of size of the area multiplied by the flames. Remember, you have to have 1 flame. If you've got 0 flames, you've got to score 0 for that area. But you multiply the number of the areas, or the number of squares in your particular area by the number of flames in that area, and add it all up and score and overscore. The highest points is the winner. You can play additional rules where you get 5 extra points if you manage to have a complete square, and 10 extra points if you have a square in the middle. If you have your territory right in the middle, so if you've got a 5x5 grid with your territory in the middle, and that pretty much is it. I think it's a really great game. Kingdomino is a great game. If it just had this version, I would say probably you don't need to buy it if you've got Kingdomino. It's not that different, but if you haven't got Kingdomino, then it's definitely worth a look over Kingdomino because it has these 2 other versions, which I will put in another video, which I'll link up here and be in the playlist and all that kind of stuff. They add another variant to this game, but actually you could just play this game with your family very well. We're a family of 5. It's a little bit unfortunate that you can't play with 5, but actually quite often there's one person who doesn't want to play, so it's not too bad. We can normally get 4 in, and it's very quick, so you can swap round. Go, okay, well you don't play this round, and then you play the next round, and then actually because it's only, if you're not thinking too hard, it only takes about 15-20 minutes at the most. So it's not too bad. So we go off and watch a quick YouTube video or something. If you're playing 2-player, you can actually make it more challenging because you basically have 2. Each of the 4 things that I laid out, you can each pick 2, and you can play. You don't have to. You can play, and it's better if you do. You can play making a 7x7 grid. which makes the scoring potential huge and makes the mental gymnastics of getting the grid right a little bit different, a little bit trickier, and you have to really kind of think about what your opponent's up to. So 2x2, 7x7 grid, a two-player 7x7 grid is a really fun way to play this game. A little cerebral challenge, but still really quick, which I really like about it. Yeah, you're not going to get bogged down, it's just a really fun game. I love the fact that you, by taking the best token, you then probably going to get the worst token or the worst choice at the end of, no choice. You're going to get no choice at the end if you took the best token in the previous game. I really like that. It's a really teaches you thinking ahead. Well, actually, I've got the first choice this turn, but that one that's the best I don't particularly want. Maybe if I go for an early choice next time, perhaps the card that I really want will come out. You can count the cards because, as I said, there are descriptions of what numbers of squares are on there, so you can look and go, okay, well, actually, there's only 2 of those type of squares left. There's no point in me waiting for that, so I'm just going to take this one. So they've got lots of options, teaching you. So it's teaching you drafting, it's teaching you, cow counting, that kind of thing. All really useful in lots of different games, but not in Vegas. And there you go. So that is Kingdomino. That's the basic Kingdomino. Like I say, I will go on to talk about the slightly more complex version. But that is the game. So that is Kingdomino Origins in its simplest form. I think it's a really great game. I thoroughly recommend it. I didn't get sent this review or anything. This is purely my own personal opinion of how much fun we've had over Christmas with this game, and I take it with my kids to the swim baths now while we're waiting to play because it's very quick and easy to play, and we play with his friends, and it's very quick to pick up, and everybody loves it. So I thoroughly recommend it. So there you go. We don't play in the pool. I should probably say that. So there you go. So that's Kingdomino Origins. As I say, the more advanced version video will follow on, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of these, I've got quite a few board games, funnily enough. If you want to see more of these and stuff we're playing with family, stuff I'm playing with Pete and my friends, then let me know and I'll make them. If this is your first time to the channel because you've come via, hopefully you'll find this on Board Game Geek or somewhere like that, or you've just come by searching for Kingdomino Origins, then do like and subscribe. We have a lot of war game content, but we're very family friendly, and we're trying to up the family board game content. So do let us know what you want to see, and ring the bell, like and subscribe, comment. We'll do our best to get back to you, and we'll see you soon on the Age of Sigmar.